The way you feel about everything, bar none, is down to only two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words you construct. So when you change the pictures and words, you're changing everything at a cellular level.
Here's what I would say, if you're gonna win long term, 95% of people have an operating system in their mind where they operate out of history and memory. About 5% of humans operate out of vision and imagination. So the reason we're so much happier, I believe, when we're children is we have no history and memory. So we operate out of imagination and dreams and vision. But at some age, some people it's 5 years old, some it's 8, some it's 18, some it's 28, they create a history. And that history then becomes the operating system. So even if they take on a new behavior or tactic, they're operating out of a pattern of thought and belief that's historic and memory-based. And so the number one thing I would say is begin to operate out of your imagination again, out of your vision again. Create from that place. If you create from that place, now you're not tied to the result in that moment. You're giving yourself space to imagine and create something new in your life.
Feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences, and we can remember experiences better because we can remember how they feel. The stronger the emotion we have to some experience in our life, the more altered we are inside of us. The more the brain freezes a frame and takes a snapshot, and that's called a long-term memory. That image is being bossed neurologically in the brain. So then, what most people don't know is that every time they remember that event, that trauma, that betrayal, that loss, whatever it is, they're producing the same chemistry in their brain and body as if the event is occurring. So what happens over time is that conditioning process conditions the body to literally live in the past.
But I understand the power of the mind. People think it's woo, but it's not. Your mind every day tells your body what to do. That's its job. So for instance, if you think of something sad, your eyes will fill up with tears. If you think of something embarrassing, you might go back and think of food and your tummy rumbles because you're thinking a thought and your mind is responding to the thought. And if you doubt that, think of the placebo effect. What you think of a drug has more of an effect on your body than what the drug is, and the placebo effect is getting more powerful every year. So we already know this works. You think a thought, your body makes it real. That's a fact. But here's another fact. If your mind's job is to make your thoughts real, your job is to think better thoughts all the time.
It's an experiment, right? It's an experiment. Life is an experiment. So if your personality creates your personal reality, and your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel, if you keep thinking the same way, you keep acting the same way, you keep feeling the same way, your life is going to stay the same because you're the same. So the experiment is, okay, let me begin to think differently. So I got to remind myself how I do want to think, and I have to remind myself of how I no longer want to think, so I don't default and go unconscious. Let me remind myself how I'm going to behave so that I could actually get my behaviors to match my intentions. And let me remind myself of how I'm going to feel. If I'm able to succeed in that day, then there should be some change in my life. It's the experiment. And if it doesn't change, that doesn't mean the law doesn't work for you. It's just you're not that good yet. You just got to keep practicing, right? So the act of disconnecting from your life long enough to remind yourself of who you do want to be and who you no longer want to be, that experiment then is the experiment called life.